Yep, I can see it recording.
Nice,
Yep.
perfect. Thanks, Eleanor.
Okay, so I'll just have a go. So we had a little paper that comes from a study that we did with the practitioners. And we asked them what the sustainability mean for you in terms of agile development. And the reason we did this is because from all the work we had done with the challenges within agile, this idea came up or started maturing that a lot of practitioners were not so much talking about becoming agile, adopting agile, but they were talking about carrying on being agile. So what it means, what are the challenges that they were facing, about more the long term, the continuously improving, the keeping it alive. So that's why we then asked mostly in a conference context with lots of practitioners about what they understood as sustaining agile beyond adoption. And from those answers, we came up with, at that time, I think if we looked at data now, we probably would think it differently. But at that time, we came up with 4 themes. And the first one was about culture, mindset, what it means for the organization, what it means for the practitioners to be completely agile. The other one was about independence. I mean, I'll try to say a bit more about that after. There was another point about focusing on business value, focusing on how projects were contributing for the value of the business. And last one was about consistency across time. So how they managed to keep the same level of agility carrying on. So those were the 2 main things behind the motivation for this work. So the realization of how the changes seem to be changing, and this bit of data we had from this questionnaire to practitioners. So from what we've been thinking about it, there are possible research questions. It's something that we haven't really explored very well, but I mean, I'm just going to list a few. How do organizations survive critical incidents to ensure they sustain their IT agile projects as a possibility? What challenges do organizations face when sustaining agile at all levels, and how do they overcome them? And then we'd think about at the organizational level, which is the one related to culture, mindset, people level, continuous learning, being independent, products and processes, which is related to business value and need, and throughout time, so the idea of consistency. So these were 4 many areas. In a way, these areas touch quite a bit of the 4 areas that are our areas of interest, which were culture, which were business value. So it's, I mean, sustainability is a bit like an umbrella that encompasses a bit all the other areas. I mean, the other research question was, how has your approach to agile changed throughout time? So this is a bit setting up the background, setting up where we are at the moment. So we have no concrete work going on in terms of looking at case studies, working with practitioners, but that's more or less how I feel this area is from our point of view. But please, anyone pop in and say anything else. Or
just one other thing to add possibly is when we looked at the literature, there was very little work being done on this area. I think that's true, Daniel? Yeah.
Also because maybe a lot of people are thinking about this area, but they're calling it different things. We call it sustainability. It's not necessarily what other people are talking about. But although there are a few things, the idea of looking at how to keep it going doesn't seem to be yet a focus for the literature. So there isn't that much about it. Yeah.
So if I understood, you have already a small paper created on this topic?
We have a small paper resulting from this questionnaire that we took with 50 practitioners, and we can send it to you.
Yeah,
it should be on the website, isn't it on the ARN site?
It should be. It's called Sustaining Agile Beyond Adoption.
Okay. So yeah, I just checked a couple of documents in your documentation.
But I think, as Leonor was saying, I mean, one of the things I was also trying to the comment I was making last week is that this whole sustainability, or last time, this whole sustainability thing, if I could say it, does actually touch on a range of things, and including the leadership angle and culture, and so I mean, so it is one of those things that sort of like impacts on lots of stuff. Because if you want to sustain Agile, you probably want to sustain a culture. Well, you will want to sustain a culture that will support it. What that actually means, of course, I don't know necessarily, but yeah. So I think it's one of those things that does impact on a range of things. So quite happy with the notion of having a separate group to set up to look at it, but I think it is also a pervasive kind of thing. So it'd be interesting to have it in the back of your mind while you're thinking about the other areas you're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, because so what we are seeing lately is that most of these big topics are, of course, interrelated. So you cannot just talk about leadership without talking about culture. You cannot focus on culture if not talking about people or organizational design or other aspects. So everything is interlinked. We have our previous experiences with this type of meta research, that is these big topics that inside themselves have these different themes or lines of research. So my comment is because our experience in this regard is not that positive. So our last attempt to create this meta research was, in particular, the current one, the Agile leadership, that we tried to narrow it down as much as possible to be able to complete and to publish this research in let's say 9 months or 9 months. But we, like Helen is saying, that we started to see that everything was related with leadership. So we started talking about this meta research. It became really, really big, and it became really a challenge to be able to explain the research to the rest of volunteers that were joining us, and also to keep the energy, because it was a topic so high level or so abstract that was a challenge. So my question to you is, how do you think, so do you have something in mind how this research could be designed, not about the content or the paper itself, but how do you think the team can be working with this umbrella that is sustainability?
I mean, I could say a little thing from very, very initial ideas about it. I mean, we have highlighted a few things to do, to collect, I mean, data from interviews in a variety of organizations that had sustained Agile philosophy and practices. I mean, in fact, if all this situation hadn't started, we were going to contact an organization that is quite connected to one of our universities that has started probably 5-6 years ago, and it started as an Agile organization, and we wanted to understand a bit how they managed to sustain their agility and the practices that they had. So we hadn't contacted them because of the current situation. Then another possibility would be to identify critical incidents, identify points where sustainability wasn't achieved, identify the problems there. We had another idea of just doing retrospectives, looking at timeline development, seeing how things had been progressing, what were the things that were positive and keeping it going. And we were mainly interested in looking at Agile IT projects and seeing from the project point of view and how they were sustaining it. I mean, but these were, as I said, very, very initial ideas of how to take this forward.
Nice. Because when, yeah, sorry?
Sorry, Mark, you carry on.
It's me?
Yes,
sorry,
you can. Sorry, right,
sorry.
okay.
No, just because I really like the concept of this this incident that you referred to as kind of the challenge that the organization is facing, and around this how they sustain the agile maturity or the agile framework or culture. Uh, are you thinking? So this incident is something in particular, or it's every organization will have something on their in each case will be different. My question is because one of the when we are talking about this leadership and culture, one of the topics that we were curious to explore was the incidence of or the impact of COVID-19 in the culture and the leadership styles, and how the organizations have been facing or surviving this crisis. So I don't know if you are thinking about this type of massive incidents, or is something more particular related with inside the organization?
I mean, these thoughts were put down before all this started, so we weren't thinking about COVID-19, but that's possible a good idea. I don't think we went much further than just thinking about the possibility of looking at critical incidents. I don't know if anyone wants to add more on this, but
I think at the time we put it together, it wasn't one particular thing. It was each organisation may have its own situations that occur, whether that's being taken over by a different organisation or their stock crashing because the oil price has gone negative, or I mean, you know, whatever it is that happens to that particular organisation. I think that was the idea that we had around that, was that it would depend on the organisation. I mean, I think, and I'm going to say this, and the others in the ARN, please jump on me if you disagree, but I think one of the things we have been doing across the time is focusing on sort of individual organisations to get their lessons, to understand what their challenges are and get their lessons, and then to work outwards from that. Right. So the thing about these meta research things is they're very big. You're right, they're very big kinds of questions, but rather than try to tackle the whole thing in one big chunk, which is really difficult, we've focused on mostly one organisation really, or one. We'll just leave one organisation for a minute, but we focused on one organisation so we can feed back to them and then work outwards from that. And this would be another example, I think, the idea is starting with an organisation to say, okay, so what's it been like for you? You know, how have you managed to sustain this? What has happened on the journey? What are the challenges that you face? Stuff like that.
Great. Perfect. So, yeah, I think that, so at this level, with the information that you are sharing, I think that for me, it's a pity that PB is not here, but I will share with them the topic. I think that it's fascinating, and we can get really great insights from this process, interviews, or whatever is the approach that we take. Let's see how we can set up this team to work together with you. Do you have any specific time frame to tackle this research? Is something that you are so if I understand properly, you designed or started to draft this research a few months ago before the COVID-19. Is something that you want to restart now? So what's your time frame?
That's a very interesting question.
Okay.
I think I have a number of things going inside my head about that. So I mean, we're not expecting to start tomorrow. I think certainly in the UK there's still lots of questions around availability of organisations to work with anyway. And given that that's where we would tend to start working with organisations. I think there's a question about when will that happen, you know, so that's as uncertain as anything else in this current situation. But having said that, I think we're happy to talk to people whenever people say yes, I'm interested and we'd like to do some more. So I think the timeline is flexible. It's flexible because of the current situation. It's flexible because we've got other things to write up and finish off and do. So we're not sort of twiddling our thumbs. So I think, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Nice. And also to get a little bit of the picture of what you have in mind when you think about this research. Sorry, a part of the time frame of when we can start this research working together. How complex or how deep do you think that this research could be? So when we talk about the scope or about how much time of effort do you think that this research will take? It's something that you think that can be done in few months, or it's year or years? So how do you use to because the beauty of this collaboration is at least when PB shared with me and Stavros the opportunity to collaborate with you, was that the institute, so we are volunteers, we come from the practitioner side of the research. So myself, I'm not an academic, so what I'm doing is it's just because I love my work and I love to contribute to this type of activities. If I understand properly, you come from the academic side, so your approach to research is more academic. It's also, I'm curious about how can we combine, or how can we contribute to this academic research, or how the academic research can contribute to the practitioner approach. So I don't know if you have experiences working, because I think that the paper that you created, I found one of your papers earlier, that it's the, let me check, it's here. Yeah, defining agile culture, a collaborative and practitioner-led approach. I don't know if this is one case that you already have this practitioner plus academic approach to the research.
It's a very short paper, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's
That was a workshop. Yeah, that was a workshop paper. That's probably not very characteristic of our normal papers. So normally, as Helen says, normally we work quite intensively with one or maybe two organisations, and we tend to collect qualitative data. We tend to do qualitative research, and we tend to do case study research. So often, I don't know, it does vary from project to project. We often only work with the we're often only collecting data for maybe quite a short period of time, 3 to 6 months, something like that. But some of our projects have been longer than that. And then we analyze it, the data we've collected, and write it up. And we try to make sure that we get an academic paper from the work, and also some sort of practitioner output. So in the past, we've written white papers that you can see on our website, but we're now branching out to try and do other types of sort of practitioner outputs. So we're trying blogs and other ways of writing outputs. We have also written some little pocket books as well.
Oh, nice, perfect. Yeah, because yeah, sorry, go on.
I was just, I mean, I think we're all quite used to working with practitioners and with practice. So nice. I mean, I've always worked with practitioners since I stopped being a practitioner myself. In my academic life, I'm focusing on practitioners all the time. So I think I'm aware of the timescales that people in practice work to. So I mean, it's quite difficult to answer your question, because I think that's a bit of a how long is a piece of string. I don't think we don't sit here and say, oh well, this must be a 3-year project or a 2-year project or a 5-year project or something. You know, we start with an organisation, we do what we can, organisations move on. So you collect the data and work with them as you can and feedback them as you can, but recognising the fact that things will change. So I think there's quite a good understanding amongst all of us about what it means to work with practice. Then in terms of feeding back to practice, that is exactly what we're trying to do with the organisation. And then with the white papers, it is also feeding back to the wider sort of practitioner community. So I don't know whether together all of those comments have helped answer your question.
No, absolutely. So it's
Okay.
so I'm just trying to figure out this how can we combine our, let's say, ways of working, and what are the challenges and the benefits of doing so. So our experience so far, and again, PB and Stavros could be answering these comments much better than me. So our researches are based more in reviewing existing literature, plus surveys and interviews, with trying to gather information from as many organizations as possible. So we normally do a kind of broadcasting approach. And if I understand this type of researches that you are doing, it's more the ethnographic research that you deep dive in one or two organizations to do this case study. So far, at least my area of influence in the institute, we haven't been doing this type of research, but I think that it could. So we have case studies, but I think that they are not what you refer to research. So I'm just trying to figure out how you work and how we work, and how can we combine these options. So just getting insights, or not
Well,
judging.
I think combining the more in-depth thing with an organisation or two organisations with the wider thing is a very common sort of research design. And you can do it in two different directions. You can either do the wider survey first or the wider exploration first, and then pick out the highest or the most popular answer, whatever that might mean, and then look at that at an organisation level in a deeper kind of way. Or you can do it the other way around. So you look at an organisation and say, okay, so this organisation had a problem with this particular thing. So how common is that? And then you do the wider thing that looks more widely. So, I mean, we try to do literature. So we do the literature search and try and work out what's happening there to help organisations. What we want to do is sort of feedback to the organisations we're working with. So we are trying to sort of filter things and help them specifically. So we do the literature side, academic and grey literature. So we also look at practitioner literature. Because I think especially in Agile, you've got quite a combination of things. So we try to do that side of it. I mean, I had noticed I've had a look through the two white papers that you sent through, and I was actually going to say they appear to be based on literature and pulling things together. So maybe that was the case. Whereas what we tend to write tends to be about, we've done this empirical work, because we start with the empirical work and then sort of come out with something. So it's a slightly different approach. But I think the combination is in some ways is perfect, because you've got the in-depth with the wider. So I think it's a good thing to do. I don't see it as a barrier at all. I think it's a good thing.
Just another little thing that we try to do is to identify theory to which we can contribute. I mean, to see if there is any theory that applies to what we found, and if there is ways that we can expand it or contribute to it in some kind of way. So just finding a framework where to fit what we found.
Yeah, absolutely. So our focus on literature is normally is not to just to gather information and copy paste and create a new paper. Is to based on existing theory, as you are saying, Leonard, to identify lines of thought and mainly gaps in these theories. So which are the gaps that these previous papers are not covering, and could be a potential niche for us, or an opportunity to create a new paper to complement the existing ones. That's true, as Helen is saying, that depending on the research, depending on the topic, depending on the team, we take different approaches to what we think better or not that better, to create this research. So we are not close to, this is our way of researching, and if you do this, you can work with us, and if you don't take this approach, you cannot work with us. So we are completely open, and and we apply an agile approach to the researchers. So nothing is closed by default. What we have is, I will share with you what we call the wicked paper. That it's not really a paper. It's our it's the guideline of our methodology to tackle the research. I think it's 12 steps. This from setting up the team and all the process that we are trying to follow, but just as a guideline. So it's not talking about interviews or surveys or nothing in particular. It's just to keep everyone in the same page when we are going through the process. So I will share this with you.
Can I just ask a question? Because you talked about surveys, broadcast. You talk about broadcasting, but when you carry out interviews, how do you do that? Do you go in depth? Do you go into an organization or?
So what we've been doing, I've been. This is my second research with the institute. I joined 6 months ago, so I'm kind of the new guys in town. Normally, what we do is we identify potential interviewees through the institute network. So it's or we advertise to the community through our channels that we are focused on one specific research, and we get answers from people interested in being part of these interviews. Then, depending on the research, we are aiming for specific roles, specific industries, and from there, once we have the research question designed and we have this questionnaire designed, is kind of depending on the depth of the research. It could be 1 to 2 hours deep interview with these specific roles. It's much better when we have the opportunity to interview different roles in the same organization, because then we know that we cannot cover a 360 perspective, because you cannot get normally a lot of time from different people in the same organization. But yeah, so it's ideal when you have the opportunity to talk with at least 2 or 3 key roles in the organization to understand a little bit better what's the real context of each one of them. I don't know if I answered your question about how we broadcast. So when we broadcast is mainly when we advertise our intent, our activity, and mainly with surveys. With surveys, we really open this to as many people as possible, and then afterwards we do the cleaning and we gather all the information, and then we do the analysis based on what we have.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I think it'd actually be really exciting to combine these 2 different ways of doing it, because it's something we haven't really been able to do ourselves, is to do that wider piece. I mean, we do some of it, but we don't.
Nice.
I don't say we don't do it very well. That's not quite what I mean, but it just doesn't seem to.
We don't have the reach.
We don't have the reach. No, that's right. That's right. So I think that could be really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the kind of how we might work, is there something around then that between us we work out like the architecture of the research, if you like, that there are some, so we've got some topics, but as we've done with sustainability, get actually some research questions, and then you can allow the teams to go away and look at research questions and do whatever is appropriate in the particular context that they are. But we have a bit more of a joined up, higher level PMO office type approach to, here's what we're trying to achieve. And then from that, different research questions could come out.
Yeah, so when you refer to this PMO, is the metaphor of yourself and your leading team, or that it's an entity inside the consortium that it's leading the research questions?
I would say that's the relationship between BAI and ARN is the higher level PMO that sets, I don't know, the vision, the direction of that kind of thing. And then there are some specific research questions that would come out of that either side could pick up or not pick up.
Yeah, absolutely. So normally when we partner with any entity, and even if when we start the research on our own, we try to co-create as much as possible. If nothing has been created, so ideally for us is to start from scratch. So it's it's important for us to, when we create the team, when we invite new volunteers, to give them the opportunity not just to be the interviewers or just to do the analysis work, but to be part of the team, and for them to feel, or for us to everyone to feel, to have that feeling of ownership, that it's okay, this is my research, I've been contributing from the beginning. So to your question, or to your approach, it depends. So if you have if you have already something that it's clear that based on your experience, based on your work already done, do you think that, hey, Business Agility Institute, these are the research questions that we want to get answered to? Okay, let's review them. I assume that it would make sense. So so we feel that we are aligned by default. So the consortium, the institute, and the research network. So let's review these questions. If we feel that we can contribute to these questions, let's continue from that point. If we feel that yeah, sorry, Katie.
Sorry, I was just thinking about the challenge you were saying before about the meta research, and that, you know, some topics are just so big. So instead of everybody just picking at a little bit of it or getting swamped by it all, that there is a higher level view that says, you know, these are the areas that are important, which could then feed down into teams to do something about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will try. Give me 1 sec. I will try to show you what we have. I don't know if PB has shown you in at some point our Trello board. So we have let me check. We have a massive Trello board with, right now our initiatives in progress are few of them, but we have a backlog with dozens of topics of proposals from inside the institute, from people in our network. So search, I think it's this one. It's, yeah, let me try to share my screen. It's here. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so right now we have these few researches in progress. So agile marketing, leadership in agile organizations. That this is the one that Stavros and myself are moving forward. This agile marketing is the same, that we are kind of changing or pivoting the approach. A research about the differences of company size or to agile approaches and success factors. And now we are starting this agile in the public sector. So we have Michael here that joined the institute last month, and he has huge experience in e-health here in New South Wales. So we are trying to start this research with him. So what we have here in the backlog is all this list of several topics that it's not the umbrella that you are referring to, Katie, but we have lots of topics in the backlog that we know that we cannot tackle at the same time. So for me, the research or this umbrella that you are referring to, for us is let's see how much do we want to keep the research at high level, or how we want, or where is the right spot to deep dive. What we've done so far is more than splitting or allowing everyone to pick specific topics or research questions and create a research from there. We're trying to have a sustainable pace to say, okay, let's focus or let's put all our energy in these few aspects, and then when this is complete, let's take another one. So kind of limiting our work in progress. If not,
Yeah.
it's not been working for us. I don't know if it also answers your question or your concern about this.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So well, I think if we have a team, which sounds like a great idea, then I think we do need to be working together to work out where do we go next, to make sure that it's coordinated in some way.
Absolutely.
And to sort of, and it will be interesting to see what other people's perspectives is on the questions or the area as they come forward, especially if they are practitioners, so they've got a practitioner background in that. So I think it's an integrated way of doing it. I think will be good as long as we're coordinated.
Yeah, because for us, at least in my experience, what I've been experiencing with our researchers is that most of the time we start with a clear idea of okay, this is the outcome of the research, these are the questions that we want to get answers, and then when you are really working on this research, this morphs and another topic emerges, and then it's okay, this is the right or this is a better option. And this is why we keep the backlog. So nothing is the wrong topic, but it's depending on the energy in the room. We find that there are areas that we can tackle now, and others that should be postponed. So yeah, we can keep these kind of two levels of work, and some of the topics will remain at high level because it's not the focus that we want to take right now. And when we find the topic that resonates with us the most, it's the one that we will deep dive. At least it's what I have in mind. So it's, of course, we will need to start working and from there decide. But yeah, so our approach is let's keep things open. So it's let's use I love the last responsible moment. So taking decisions when is the right moment, and any decision earlier, we are closing options too early, so let's use this in our advantage.
Okay, sounds good. Yep, sounds good.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
So from my side, the approach is clear, and this is why with the recording I will share this with Stavros and PB to get also their thoughts. Is anything else that you would like to discuss or talk about, or this potential research?
I wanted to, I did have a quick look at the two white papers that you gave us the link to. And I was struck by the fact that we have got similar kinds of work. So the hiring for culture, for example, where you're talking about, focus on the people, hire for people coming in and not focusing on technical skills. One of our white papers was with an organisation that did something similar to that. They were Leonor, help me here. What was it called? It wasn't hiring for culture. I can't think of the right phrase.
Behavioural based, wasn't it?
Yes, behaviour.
Yes. It's a
So
behavioural assessment. Yeah.
That's it. Yes, well done. They hired for behaviours, which I just had resonances as I was reading through the white paper you got on the hiring. It just struck me that there was this resonances with it, and because they then had difficulty because they didn't hire for technical skills, so they ended up with people who they ended up without some of the technical skills they needed for the business. So, but I just sort of just an observation that if you're interested,
it was more like the people with the technical skills didn't conform to the required behaviors.
Yes,
and there were plenty of people with technical skills, but because they didn't pass the behaviors behaviors assessment, they didn't have enough of people that they needed.
Yeah,
exactly. That was the mindset behind the research, is that the technical skill is something that can be trained. Behaviors and your core values is something that it's you and yourself, so it's much more difficult to change. So yeah, I think
but I think one things that they were finding was that there was one particular area where you needed somebody who had the degree and the experience and the understanding to be able to do the job, and they didn't have the behavior things, so they struggled for a while at least to employ these people. So in that case, they couldn't actually just train them. They couldn't.
In the end, they ended up for that sector specifically, they watered down a bit the behaviors, and they took people on board because they needed them. Yeah.
So I just think it was interesting to see the white paper and relate to that. And we've got some onboarding stuff. So the employee engagement one I found interesting, but that's because I'm interested in motivation. So I think this the literature and stuff you've got in there to do with motivation is it's interesting the way you've used it. So I will read that one in more detail. Again, I mean, we've got an onboarding paper which also relates to the hiring, which has just come out, or just coming out. Peggy, is it out yet? Is it available yet, the onboarding paper?
It's not available yet.
Not quite available yet. Okay.
The conference is in early June. Yeah.
And there's no white paper for that, is there?
No.
No.
I'm going to do blog that and a talk. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be available soon.
We'll wait.
But anyway, as I said, they're just, when I read it, it was, yeah, this feels comfortable. I understand what's going on here, and it was, you know, close to what we've been doing, related to what we've been doing. So I thought it was positive.
Yeah,
that's great. Good to see them.
Great.
Are there actions that we can do to move forward? What do we think the next steps are?
So are you asking to me or the rest of the group?
Sorry, everybody. I'm asking everybody.
Yeah, well, from my side, so my next step is, of course, to share this proposal with PB Stavros to confirm to you as early as possible. I would like to think this week to give you some potential options. So how can we make this collaboration happen from the institute perspective? And here is PB as the head of research will be able to give you a more clear approach. But I think that creating this new team to support. To work with you on this research will be the best approach to start with. And yeah, I think that the topic, the themes are meaningful. It's something that resonates with me, and I feel that Stavros, PB, and the rest of the people in the research area of the institute will love to take this research on board. So let's see how we can make it. I don't know if from your side is something that you want to start doing, or just if you want to give me a few days to come back to you with some proposal a little bit more defined from our side.
That would be great. That would be great.
Sounds good.
Okay, Katie, we're about to say something.
No.
All right. Okay. Sorry. In your email, though, Mark, you also mentioned the Agile Culture Development Matrix and the 9 Principles of Agile Leadership. I wanted to know more about those.
That's true, because it's so a part of exploring this collaboration with the consortium and the research network. The first time I knew about you from PB or from the institute was because we were looking for. We were starting to deep dive into literature in leadership. That is our current research, and this is why when PB shared with us your what you call the 9 principles of culture or leadership, I think that it comes with the matrix. So we thought that maybe it could be great to get your insights and your experience on this matrix, how you are using this, and what are the benefits. It was for us to get more knowledge about how this matrix works, and if we can use them to guide our research. But I need to say that it's also because it's almost 10 a.m. On your side. Also, I have another meeting now, so for me thanks for the reminder, Helen, of course. But for me, it was more nice to have for this meeting. So we can, if you have time, any other week that we meet, we can keep a short time for this topic, because we are interested, but it's not really linked with the research that we are exploring right now. So happy to postpone this topic, or if you have some document that explains in more detail the culture matrix, that it's open or public, that you want to share with us, will be perfect.
Okay. I can share with you the background research document that we've got that went into that. I don't know if it'll be any use to you. It is really just a lot of the thoughts and the research and the literature that led to the development of the cultural matrix. But yeah, happy to share it.
Yeah, nice. So we are in this stage that we are kind of gathering insights, and any any existing work on this space will be potentially valuable. So if it's public and you can share with us, will be perfect. So from my side, what we were saying. So I will talk with PB and Stavros to explore options from the institute to make this research happen. We will share this with you during this week. If that's okay, I will set up another. So this time I will do this properly. So if you want to keep this time frame, next Tuesday same time, we can. I will set up this placeholder to have 1 hour quality time to discuss. If it's nothing, if we don't require this time, happy to cancel. But for me it works if we have this time box already scheduled. I will share with you this what we call our methodology or our wicked paper of how we structure our researches to give you also some highlights of how we run through the process of research. And yeah, and from your side, Katie, if you share with us this document, will be perfect.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
I think it's more than enough to do this week.
Yeah.
Yes. If there is
Yeah,
anything during the week, feel free to via email or any channel. So contact us and we can work on or clarify any doubt during the week.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Yes, thanks for your
Thanks
time.
a lot.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Thank you.
Tuesday. Have a nice day. See you soon.
Bye.
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 Yeah.